We are live now. I'm just going to hit our intro, and we're good to go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Road to the Show. I've got a great guest here today, Stanley Cup champion Gilbert Dionne. Welcome. Thanks for doing this on a long weekend.
Yeah, sounds good, Johnny. Sorry, we've been communicating back and forth last few weeks. It's been very busy time of my life lately, but guess what? Good opportunity right now. I'm at the cottage, and
Nice.
a lot of work to do, but I'm glad to find a little bit of time for you.
Absolutely. No, I certainly appreciate it. As you know, we like to talk about journeys and getting to the NHL. And, a lot of us wanted to get there, and you're one of the fortunate ones that did. And, I wanted to kind of talk about the journey. So, childhood, you grew up in Drummondville. Is that right? Or born?
Yes. Grew up, born in Drummondville, Quebec, till I was 15 years old. And great little town. My dad, family of 8, hardworking steel mill in Sorel, Quebec, for Quebec Iron. And you know what? Growing up, obviously the listeners need to understand that my older brother Marcel, we're 19 years apart. So I want to make sure to the listener that he's not my father or uncle or cousin. He's my older brother.
Yeah. Well, I knew that. I mean, he was an absolute legend. I remember, of course, the big buzz with Gretzky coming up, and I remember Marcel and Wayne tied for points. I think it was 79-80 or 80-81, and Marcel got the scoring championship because he had more goals.
Correct. Right? I think they each had 135 points. It is still an honor rule, I believe. Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, but if that's how it works.
Yeah.
Today they added more, obviously, words with Rocket Richard, most goals, blah blah blah. But at that point, if you're tie in the lead, the most goal, which is obviously the hardest part of accumulating points, is scoring a goal, gets the award, and Marcel end up winning the scoring title. And after that, the rest is history because Gretzky ended up doing it for 20 years.
Well, that's right. No, but he was tremendous to watch play, and had a obviously wonderful career. So. Was he the youngest or oldest, and you the youngest, or is there?
Correct. I have an older brother. Ronald played some junior hockey, same as Marcel, up in Ontario, and I have 5 sisters. So great family. We're all still around. Mom and dad passed years ago, but always healthy. Everyone's doing great, and it's so much fun that I live in Ontario now. I don't get to visit Quebec as much, but once we get together, it's nothing but sunshine and a lot of fun.
I bet. Absolutely. That would be lots of old stories. So you play minor hockey, and this is interesting to me. You play minor hockey in Drummondville, and as our older listeners would know, your brother played junior in St. Catharines, right?
Correct.
Back 18 years before. So how did you end up in Niagara Falls with the Canucks?
So. This was years ago. You're looking about when Marcel played. Was fortunate enough that I had a brother to experience the import-export situation. Marcel left Drummondville, played some junior hockey in Montreal, and then made the move to Ontario. I wish I would know more about the story, but back there in the 70s, separatism, Quebec wanted to separate to Canada. Marcel felt there was an opportunity for him to go play elsewhere than in Quebec. So he ended up going to St. Catharines. Now let's fast forward to myself 19 years later. Marcel's created his career in Detroit. New York is in LA. I'm in 14 years of age, 15, wondering where am I heading into the minor hockey system in Drummondville, and felt like maybe after the fact that my parent told me the story that there was a bit of pressure, right? Last name's Dionne. Is he making the team because of his last name? Is it because of family? There's politics. And today, Johnny, and to the audience that's listening, there is politics. It is what it is. I felt there was a better opportunity to leave Drummondville and following Marcel's footstep. And I did end up going to Quebec City, little trial, and live with my sister Ghislaine and my brother-in-law Alain, and go try in Lévis-Lauzon, play some midget hockey. Sorry, U18 today.
Yeah.
But then the age group changed. So I ended up playing U15 in Quebec and test the water, right? If I was going to be able to adjust with the bullying, with the schooling system, with, another Dionne coming in, is he taking a spot? So it was a lot of pressure. And then we made the move. I ended up getting my release from Drummondville, and my parents made the move to sell the house and move to Niagara Falls and see where we're at. So let's move forward again. At 16 years old, played for Junior B for the Canucks, and a good opportunity that Marcel kind of had a little bit of a pull and asked a few of the teams, St. Catharines Blackhawks and the Niagara Falls Canucks, hey, my kid brother wants to try out. He's the one who's putting the skates on and the sticks and the gloves. See what happened. And the Niagara Falls Canucks took a chance on me. Next thing you know, at 16, I played for the Junior B in Niagara Falls.
That's a good league. That's still a good league. That gets a lot of guys into college in the U.S. That loop.
Yeah, the Golden Horseshoe, the Junior B system, what we call B here. I'm not sure they changed the words anymore. I'm getting too old for this crap. But the Junior B and the Junior A system here, OHL, it's surrounded by a lot of good hockey, and you never know. There's a lot of hidden gems that the NHL needs to consider again to go back maybe for a little bit of scouting and scouts these players like myself. I was a late bloomer, and it worked out for me, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's cool to hear that story because there's a lot that still happens. And I wondered, my last question about you moving to Ontario. Did you get any heat from the Quebecois people? Like, oh, okay, you're too good for us. You're going to go play in Ontario. Anything like that come out of that? Later in life, of course, because you end up in Montreal, right? I wondered if there was a little bit of maybe animosity because you didn't play in the Q. So
at that point, I was not really a super shiny hockey player. I was not the one that was going end to end, and score 100 goals where I was. I was more of a team player. I needed to adjust it with a great centerman, a great right wing. My childhood best friend, Sylvain Fleury, was my great center back in the minor hockey. Without him, I would probably not have been a great left winger, right? I was considered a late bloomer, and that's what happened when I left. I didn't even think I went under the radar, to be honest. No AAA team was wondering what's happening. It's kind of like, now we're looking for a different player. And I shot up in Niagara Falls during my 16 years of age till I was 18. One summer, I went from 5'3" to 6 foot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The blooming, the teenage years of growing up and type of thing. So I don't feel like Drummondville lost an opportunity or anyone in Quebec. I think I'm always welcome there. And like, being drafted by Montreal and winning the cup in '93 is even better. So it's
probably don't pay for many meals in Montreal.
No, I don't. And I don't wait in line. There's no such thing as waiting in line up outside. I go right in, even have I go through the back of the kitchen.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to bring on, we have a little segment here that we do every week with we got a little young reporter coming on to ask you a couple questions. So we'll play his intro and off we go. You'll be, where is it? Oh, there it is. Here we go.
Please welcome to the show our show's very own junior reporter, Jack.
There he is. Hey, Jack. How are you this week?
Good.
Good. Do you have any questions today for Gilbert?
3.
All right.
Sounds good, Jack. And congratulations on what you're doing. I think this is very, very important. And some awesome footsteps of reporting is not as easy as you think. And I'm very happy that willing to answer your 3 questions for you.
Thanks. Besides your brother Marcel, who was your favorite hockey player as a kid?
So I was fortunate enough that I get to play in the NHL, and my favorite hockey player, obviously, was the Wayne Gretzky, the Mario Lemieux, coming into the NHL, and it was so much fun. So the hard part is, and other than Marcel, and created a triple crown, Charlie Simmer, that played with Marcel for the LA Kings, and Dave Taylor's a right wing. I looked up to Charlie Simmer too when I was growing up. But let's not forget that the Montreal Canadiens, when I was younger, was always on TV on Saturday Night Hockey Night in Canada. And Guy Lafleur also was very inspired. And then, sorry, he was. I was inspired by Guy's career, and same as Marcel. So I really enjoyed watching these players growing up.
Yeah. What was it like winning a Stanley Cup?
Well, the Stanley Cup is being celebrated this year. It's been 30 years since I won the Stanley Cup, and I'm going to tell you something. It is the best thing you can possibly win in sports. You get to see those players today in the NHL, and you end up speechless. They're asking you, how do you feel? I'm still speechless how I feel about winning the Stanley Cup. Get to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. My name is on the Holy Grail, and will never get removed till I think I got another 45 years before it gets to be moved out of the Stanley Cup. But it's been a great summer. Got to meet some great teammates, as well today are still my good friends. And it was the greatest feeling, other than having my 5 children and 3 grandchildren, I have to put this in the top one.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for young players?
Never give up, right? It's tough times. Sometimes there's disappointment. Sometimes I've hear in the last few weeks, some players made the AAA team, and the second year they get sent down. And never give up, because you always have to work hard and harder, and let the politics aside. As long as you're having fun, you cannot take hockey too seriously. Get out there, work out, and work hard. And if your parents have to force you to get out of the house to go hockey, then you're not in the right position. So, like I said, to all the young players out there, boys and girls, and everyone that wants to try sports, especially hockey, do the best you can, and the rest will just come.
Yeah.
Great advice, Jack. What do you say?
Thank you.
Sounds good, Jack. Keep up the good work, bud. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah. So he plays. He's doing the opposite. He's a Saskatchewan. We were out there for the first 7 years of his life, and then we moved back home here to Halifax.
Yep.
And so he's got to play there, and now he's fortunate enough to play for the team Quebec Prospects.
Wow.
And we're in the next 3 weeks. We're in Montreal, Toronto, and then Montreal. So
fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be busy, but working hard, eh, bud?
Yeah.
All right, we'll let you go now. We'll talk to you in a bit. Okay. See you, pal.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye.
Awesome. That was great. So getting back to junior. So you and I are very close in age. I'm about a year older than you. I'm a 69 birth. You're 70, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So I went through your, sort of your teams, and a guy popped out at me that you played with in Kitchener. I played with him too, and I played with him in junior out here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And he was an underage. So I was second year Pee Wee, and he was an Atom age player and small. But he was on our team, and he was a nice hockey player. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Richard Borgo?
Jason Firth.
Oh, Firthy. Okay,
Yeah.
well, Firthy from out east, correct. But that's right. Ottawa, family from Ottawa. It was my best friend. I still talk to him today. Firthy came, that's right, from the coast, and his his parents were in Ottawa. Then they moved to London, and he's been in Thunder Bay forever. So.
Yeah, we played up there in the Colonial League. Remember the Thunder Bay Senators?
Correct.
Yeah, he was up there. And I talked to him the last time when he was playing. It would have been after he left there. Did he go to Kitchener before or after North Bay?
Kitchener first.
Yeah, so then it was after that. I saw him. I ran into him when he was playing for North Bay. So early.
But like you talk back about junior times, Johnny. I said I have to give a shout out when I played junior B. I had one of the teammates that came out of junior C, and I believe he played in Brantford or Paris somewhere, and made a junior B team with me. And nothing to less, hardworking guy, hardworking athlete, and I want to congratulate Keith Jones to the Philadelphia Flyers. I was a commentator for a long time. Jonesy has been hired as part of the Flyers organization. I'm so happy that finally, well-deserved. He's a commentator that's true to himself, true to the league, tells it like it is, and I want to wish him luck. And like you said, we have guys that's coming out of nowhere, and always believe. And I just told a young Jack, I always believe that something, an opportunity could happen. Doesn't have to be right away. Doesn't have to be the next day. So hockey's the same thing, right? If things don't work out, if after your career you can create, like you said, being a reporter, bring a scout, bring an agent. I'm so happy for him, and couldn't ask for a better, nice guy. And the Flyers know who he is, and the community just love the guy. I wish him luck.
Absolutely. You know, I actually jumped on the Flyers Alley with our network, Old City Sports Network, and we talked about the hire, and I said the same thing. You know, he's a guy. People don't give enough respect to those that are in the media, ex-players that have to go on the road. It's the same life, right? You're on the road, you're in a booth, you know, you're traveling in crappy weather in the winter. You can't swear on the air. You can't, you know, disrespect the game. It's a lot of pressure on you. You're on live TV, right? You just came out of a dressing room 3 years ago where, you know, the some of the language isn't okay, and now you've got to watch yourself. It's a difficult thing to do. He's done it well. He's been a pro.
And don't forget now, I keep seeing this today, and there's about everyone has an iPhone, iPad, like anything can take a picture or take record your voice, what you're saying. So I give kudos to these guys on TV, because I wouldn't last one. I can be air for a half hour. I get fired because my emotions gets the best of me. I tell the truth. I tell what hockey's all about. But at the end of the day, they're very composed. You got Chris O'Neill, O-Dog, and TSN and Noodles and all those guys do a fantastic job. And congratulations to them, because it is not easy. You have social media all over you after the fact that you say something, and sometimes it's too late, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very very difficult thing to kind of. But I'm real happy for him. I think he's going to do a real good job, and hopefully they turn that franchise around. We have a lot of listeners, like I said, in this, you know, in the Philly area, because the network's out of there. But you know, getting back to Kitchener, did you guys win in Kitchener? Did you win a Memorial Cup?
So we lost in double overtime in 1990. I'll keep it quick. It was the year that Hamilton, I believe it was the Bulldogs. I think at that time, Hamilton
Dukes, the Dukes of Hamilton. Because
who knows?
Yeah,
they were hosting.
That was the Marlboros. So I played a few games in 87, 88 with the Marlboros. Then they left Toronto and moved to Hamilton, became the Dukes, and then they moved to Guelph.
Okay, so you get it, or it doesn't matter. At that point, the Hamilton were struggling so bad. I think their record was 11 win and 39 losses. The OHL, Dave Branch says, we cannot have that team host. This is not going to happen. So they gave us a best of 5, the East Division against the West, to do a little quick rivalry final. So we came out of the division. We beat London and Niagara Falls at that time, the Thunder. And then Oshawa beat their side. And then we did a little best of 3 who was going to host. So we came in through the back door of the Memorial Cup, and we lost in a double overtime to the Oshawa Generals that were the hosts of the event. It was at the Hamilton Cups Coliseum. It was the best hockey I've ever seen. Fun time, great tournament was run, but the outcome was that Lindros took the ring out of my hand, the bugger.
And then and the goalies, if I remember correctly, were Mike Torquia.
Yes.
And who was in
so at that time we had Kevin Todd, but we took I think Joyce and Aubin on our team took a good slap shot. Kevin Todd gave it the slide pad, hit his foot and kind of broke his foot, injured. And it's Freddie Bratwaite that came in and stole the show. He came cold, didn't play all week, and probably played a game or two. But that bugger just stole the show with a lot of saves. It was a great run tournament. At the end of the day, I cannot thank enough that moment I had with my junior players in Kitchener. It was a great time.
Right, and you know what? People I think put too much emphasis on winning. Okay, I look at it and sometimes some of the experiences I've had, and not even close to the level where you were competing, but you almost became closer with your teammates sometimes when you lost a tough one than you would have had you won, right? And you remember those.
I'm going to tell you right now, we cried. We triple overtime, double overtime loss. We were soaked and wet. There was no equipment changes back then. There was no switch sweaters back then. There was no. We're soaking wet, disappointed, crying, but we're friends. We're family, right? I mean, we all left at a young age to go be with billeted. Other than the local Stephen Rice, my good friend Ricer lived in Kitchener. We all had to be billeted, two guys at one spot, and blah blah blah. So we missed home. So we had to stick together. But at the end of the day, we cried the whole bus on the way home to Kitchener. And at the end of the day, when we had a nice pub that stayed open for us, waiting for us to have a couple of beers on the house, we start laughing, have a good time, and it is what it is, right? But at that time, we're sad for the overage players out to say goodbye. Where are we going? I'm saying goodbye. What's next in our life? And take a turn. But hockey really helped a lot of us to stick with hockey and move on in our future career, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, correct me if you still live in the area, don't you? We're in Kitchener area?
Yes, I'm still in Kitchener-Waterloo area. I came back after my 13-year career, through minors, NHL, minor league, European, came back towards my ex-wife's family home. So that's why I'm still living in Kitchener.
Yeah, I spent about 10 years in Guelph. My older daughters were born in Guelph.
Yeah, here we go.
So I love that area. We're actually going to be in when Jack and I are in Toronto. We're going to head over to Guelph for a couple of days to see some old buddies. So perfect. So you get drafted. That Memorial Cup year, right?
Yes. So the most important thing was about Memorial Cup is the scouting was up in there. The little rumbling chat, the crowd's going to be busy. The scouts are coming to watch. You make it to the finals. Never mind what you did all year. Yeah. And I became a playoff guy. You start to figure out, okay, we end up 48 goals, 105 points in the season. Never was invited for Team Canada, these World Junior things. No, we're not interested. That's no problem. But at that age, a little disappointed, right? I said, what did I do wrong? Like, I got 20 goals by Christmas, and they're looking for what, right? I mean, playing a tournament, and next thing you know, knock on the door, a few agents coming in. I want to represent you, and some scouting saying that people are looking for you. So that tournament was a huge turnaround for me because I had a great Memorial Cup tournament. I think I ended up with 12 points. I can't believe I didn't end up MVP because I had a great week. And a lot of our teammates had a great week. But, the politics again, Lindros, the big name coming in, 16-year-old, and so forth. Kevin Todd, all of us could have ended up with an MVP because it was all around a great tournament. But boom, next thing you know, someone watched, take a chance on me, right? Get drafted by the Montreal Canadiens.
That's pretty special.
Yeah, and my feeling at that point with my family, the controversy of Marcel and Gilbert throughout the years, how the media in Montreal was hard on Marcel. Marcel would come into Quebec, say his things, play against Montreal, Quebec City, and Nordiques, be a bunch of reporters asking questions, and he would leave and then leave us in the dark, right, to read the newspaper. Marcel say this. They're called the declaration, right? So I was disappointed because my parents going, Montreal, what the heck is going on here? There's 18 other teams. And at that point, I'm going to tell you, Johnny, the disappointment, it's not the fact that it was a Canadian. It's like, how am I going to make this team?
Yeah.
They've won so many Stanley Cups. They just won one in 86, lost in the finals in 89, and it's stacked. It's stacked with players waiting in Sherbrooke to get called up. I'm like, there's no way in heck. And worked hard, end up going to Ferguson, play a year and a half. Great line mates. I had Patrick LeBeau and Jesse Belanger as my line mate, and we were called the Kid Line in Ferguson, and created an awesome season. 50 goals, 40 goals, 40 goal season for the three of us, and created an opportunity that with Paulin Bordelot as our coach, Jacques Lemaire was our management, and kind of babysit us a little bit. Say, you need to do this. Need to have great veterans that's been there in the minors for 6-7 years. The Luc Gauthier, the Mario Roberge, the Chris Christoffoli, the Ferguson, John Ferguson Jr. was there. They knew their time. Jim Nesich, they knew their time was up, and they kind of surrounded and said, "We'll look after you guys. It's your turn to get up there." And that's what great organization is all about. Go spend some time in the minors a little bit and see what it's like, and then you get hungry.
Absolutely, and it's it's been a debate forever. Is a lot of times the defenseman will start in the minors, and a high end forward doesn't. And I believe I other than maybe a first overall or top 2 or 3, the guys there are.
But why? Why do you want to first? Why do you want to first overall expose when he's not ready? I don't understand. This is a flop. I'm upset. I'm frustrated. What I saw from the Montreal Canadien draft pick to the Seattle Seahawks draft pick and send him back to junior. They're not ready. Why? I don't understand. You can ruin a whole career. Alexander Daigle, that's what happened to him. You ruined a kid's career that could have played 1,000 games with all that money. I don't. It frustrates me what I see. I feel for these players. I feel for those guys.
Absolutely. So I've got the Quebec League game on here, Game 6.
Yes.
Quebec's up 3-2 on Halifax. Halifax scored to make it 3-2 or 4-3 with 2 minutes left. Quebec just scored 2 in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, Patrick Roy, my Patrick Roy.
They're up 5-4. And now, speaking of Patrick Roy, I've got him on my list here. Where do you think he goes next year? And I have a theory. I think he's coaching in the NHL. What do you think?
You know what? I have the scoops in Montreal. You get to go there. We got the nice alumni lounge. We communicate. We have the greats of Réjean Houle, our president of hockey of the minor NHL Montreal Canadiens alumni. I see Yvon Lambert, Yvan Cournoyer, Carbonneau's there. Anyway, we're discussing, and you know what? It would be nice if Patrick would come and give it maybe a shot to Montreal, but maybe it's work out, maybe it's not, right? I don't know where he would end up. It's proven right now that he's proven in Quebec, in the league, that he's had a chance in the NHL. And let's not forget, I'm going to move forward to Ontario. We have the London Knights with the Hunter brothers sitting there with multiple talented, an awesome organization that's proven they can do better. And I know, is it Dale? It's Dale that tried it in Washington. Yeah. And I saw him at Gibby's in Montreal, and I said, "Hey, Dale, how you doing?" He goes, "I don't know, man. I don't think I can last that long coaching because these players got too much money. They're not listening. They're not listening to my game plan." And he decided to go back to London. He said, "I don't need this crap, right? I mean, I feel sorry, but I like the new blood. I would like to see new blood instead of recycling stuff in the NHL right now. We see there's vacancy available. Why don't you give these guys a chance? Like I wish Patrick the best, and I like to wonder where you think he's going to end up. But Calgary?
No, I predict the Rangers.
Could be Gallant. It's available.
Patrick's got to go to a big market. He's that guy, right? I think he'd do better in a Ranger situation than a Columbus. But what's funny, you mentioned Mark-Andale Hunter. I reported, I broke that Dubas was going to be out, and I've heard that Mark and Dale are actually the top of the list to come into Toronto as a coach and GM. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. I mean, Shanny's got to convince Mark to come back because he picked Dubas over him, 5 years ago and gave him the GM role when they were up for it. But that's kind of where I'm looking.
Well, you know what? It's a lot. I watch hockey, trust me. And people says, I'm a Canadiens alumni, Flyers alumni, Panthers alumni. But I'm watching hockey like a Don Cherry style, right? I have to be honest to myself. I watch hockey. Did I pick this team for the cup? Blah, blah, blah. I live in Toronto. I'm in the Maple Leafs water, right? And diehard fans here. Craziness. They have blinds on. And it's frustrating because I go watch at least half a dozen games a year. I love watching hockey. I have all my Leafs alumni there, and they're super nice. The Dan Dow, the Tom Fergus, and the Rick Vibe guys, Wendell and Dougie Gilmore. I can see the pain in their eyes. I can see the frustration of what we see. Not because what players are on the ice. It's beautiful. They give you everything you want in Toronto, man. Everything. And at the end, I blame management because who you draft is who you pick, right?
Yeah.
You already know that 18-year-old, how is he going to change from 18 to 21? His personality, his style of play. You go into the big boys now. You're coming to the big men's league. If you can't adjust, I blame the organization. So I'm referring this to Matthews. I'm referring this to they were good in junior. They were kicking butt, especially 16 there. Marner, awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
Comes to the season, it's great. Now it's playoff. They're no show. Now they're doing interview. They're interviewing players. Where would you fit in this organization? Wouldn't you know that who you drafted, that's who they are? They're open ice players. They're open ice players. Great, talented. They'll be fine. They will be fine. But there's a lot of work to do still in Toronto to have this team to move forward and possibly win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always say there's probably 10 or 12 teams. There's a lot of parity in this league now. And there's 10 or 12 teams that could win if their GM gets them the right mix at the deadline. They stay healthy. They get a right call, right? The refereeing is so. When you played, you had 3 guys on the ice, right? No video replays, anything like that.
There was so many clutch and grabbing. I said to people, go on YouTube, man. There was so many clutch and grabbing, slashing. I had an event 3 weeks ago with Darren Hatcher that won the cup in Dallas. It's Darren, right? So
Darren, yeah.
He won in Dallas. He's beside me, just a beast. I said, I told the crowd, through a Hockey Helps the Homeless event, I told the people during my my speech, I said, look at the size of this guy. I had to pay the price in front of the net to go through this guy to go score a goal, to earn my job, to go pay the price, be there. And he says, you're right, Gilbert. He goes, I was defending. Well, now you watch NHL, there's no defending anymore. I don't even know what's going on. It's like too many calls. Let's get a bit of roughness, but maybe it's me on old school, like you and I, Johnny. It's old school that the NHL's changing, adapting to something that Bettman has planned. And for all the big listeners are listening right now that could love or hate Bettman, at the end of the day, he gets voted by the committee of all the NHL owners. So if he's still there, he's doing a great job. He's making money. And at the end of the day, congratulations, because obviously it's working.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he handles this Phoenix mess. And that this is kind of on him, right? He's held on to that way too long. I think Quebec City, and I said it on 2 other shows this week, Quebec City deserves that franchise. I don't think you turn around now and, if you want to go to Salt Lake and Houston, I'm good with that. You want to make 36 teams? Have at her if you think that the talent's there. But Quebec City deserves a franchise, and they're getting 18,000 people to watch a junior hockey game in there.
All right, John. Right now the tickets are $100 for a pair. Can you afford $2,000 for a pair right now for playoffs?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
When I played in Montreal, we were in the playoffs against Quebec Nordiques. Me and a couple of guys, Desjardins and I think it's Ben. Let's leave early. We took a cab. This is a story. You talk about 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Take a cab to go early before taking the team bus. So I said, I'll go with you guys. And when the cab driver drops off at the Coliseum, he says, good luck, boys. I'll see you tonight. I'm cheering for you. I said, well, you're a cab driver. How can you afford the ticket? I saved my money. I'm going to see that game tonight, blah, blah, blah. And he saved $35 for the ticket. Yeah. This is a cab driver. In the NHL today, you ain't getting no cab drivers going to hockey games. I'm sorry. It's all corporate. Yeah. You need money. This isn't ticket holders. They share among 3, 4, 5 different family group to go to hockey. And Quebec, I don't think it's going to work because it's a government city. And I don't see it that people would support it there and have the money to spend it. Anyway, that's my opinion.
And and I don't disagree. I just see Montreal back. If anybody's young and never saw that was big boy hockey. Ooh.
Yeah, and the Canadians, Jeff Molson and his group will not stop them to come into the province and be a threat, because Ottawa's just down the road, and look at it, they're doing just fine. And Ottawa's never been a threat to the Canadians. They sell out. I go to the games a lot, and we have a good fan base in Montreal. They're very patient right now. There's a big change up happening, and I'm wishing all the guys, the organization back in Montreal, the best of luck. You lose Carey Price, where do you go from there? Right? You had so many injuries this year, and regroup. And I just hope St. Louis and the staff will just step up and give it a 3-year and have the patience enough for the fans to understand that's what it takes.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I love what Marty St. Louis. There's a guy that got a chance that isn't one of the recycled coaches that have been around and around and around, and they keep bringing them back. I was really happy to see him get that shot. And I think they're building a good thing there. And talking about Ottawa, I think they're building a real good thing there.
I think it's the best move for the young 2 daughters of the late Melnick to sell the venue. They're just not experienced enough. Let's bring somebody else. There's rumble about the Hollywood group coming in. You know what? So what? If they want to do a little same thing as the Las Vegas are doing, do you want to spend some money and create this Ottawa Senators a go-to team and have some fun and be the newer NHL? So go for it, right? We need that. We can't lose any more team. We want to keep them in Canada, first of all. It's slim enough that we want to keep the Canadian teams in Canada. And so I wish them the best. I hope they get to create a good environment there in Ottawa.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what that team does, and you're seeing what Matthew Tkachuk's doing in Florida. I think you get Brady in the playoffs. He's going to do the same thing. There's not a lot of guys that big and that strong and that skilled, around anymore.
I truly feel that something happened, and we might find out later on about Matthew Tkachuk. I think he's smart enough and realized this is an opportunity. The trade, I think, woke him up. And don't forget, his father played for many years. I mean, Keith was an awesome hockey player.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he probably got to his head, hey, wake up, man. This is an opportunity. You can't wait another 10 years of your contract to see if you can win a Stanley Cup. It's now. Smarten up, play hard, and he's doing it. He's not getting into trouble, but he's there when you need him. He's playing hard. And the fun he's having, it's unbelievable. 3 overtime goals. And he leaves the ice to go straight to the room. That is fantastic. I love that. And Bobrovsky brings some life. It's connecting now. See, that team is connecting. They're sticking together. They're taking a bad penalty. They're talking on the bench. I got it. I got this. We're gonna kill it. We'll figure it out. I'm glad for Paul Maurice. Actually, it's hopefully we'll see what happens.
I give Paul Maurice total credit for this, right? Like
And John, same thing. That's a veteran coach that's coached so many years. Can he finish? We don't know, but he's in a great spot, right?
Yeah.
Can he finish? Does he have the Quenneville expertise? Does he have the Scotty Bowman? We don't know, right? I don't coach. I don't know the next step of coaching to let your veterans guys the opportunity to step up in their game. So that's what they say, experience. So we'll see what happens, but he's been long enough in the league that now hopefully – with his coaching staff, he's surrounded well and move on, because I know Paul, he knows he's close to the cup and he deserves it. And we'll see what happens, because Cassidy's around the corner and you got Brendan Moore next door and so forth. And Pete DeBoers of the Kitchener Ranger guys with Dallas. So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
It is interesting. I'm just watching them shake hands. So Patrick just won another President's Cup and he's on his way to Kamloops. So good for him.
Here we go. So it just shows you, John, that he's done enough, and hopefully there's an opportunity in the NHL. His character, I think he hopefully learns to but he's French. He's French-Canadian like I am. We coach with emotion. We speak with emotion. And if it makes him win, there's got to be an NHL out there would give him an opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Well, when he went to Colorado, don't forget, he didn't have a very good team. That was McKinnon's first year, and they weren't very good. And he got them into the playoffs in year one.
I still think there was still some work to be done there. You know, Joe Sakic was running the team a little bit. I think there was a little bit of a butting heads, right? I think, Patrick would like the full control. He was my goalie, for crying out loud. He was the one dictating in the dressing room what should be done or not and what to do next and so forth. So how can you tell the guy can't do that behind the bench? So I think hopefully someone could give him a little bit more of a leeway and say, what do you like? We'll give it to you and let's go. And I wish him luck.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to this Memorial Cup's going to be real good.
Well, it's a lot of good junior hockey. The fan base is fantastic. The tournaments are well run, and these junior kids have no clue till they get there of how fun it is, how great it is.
Yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait. So let's move on. So just give me a little story about your time in Fredericton. We have a lot of East Coasters that listen, and what did you think of Fredericton, New Brunswick?
It was great. The opportunity was there. Sherbrooke, the Montreal Canadien moved to Sherbrooke, to Fredericton. The Irving family and a few local organizations says, "Hey, we'd like to move our team here." The university, UNB University, and the hockey team were allowed to. Financially, I don't know how it worked, right? I don't know these background. I just showed up at 20 years old and let's go to Fredericton and find a place to live and hope that hockey was going to be good. But we were filling up the Aitken Center.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, good crowd. And the East Coast, you get either your Hat fan, your Leaf fan, or a Bruins fan. That's all there is to it out east, right? Now it's Colorado, obviously, with McKinnon.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
I found a nice little apartment, very niche community, quiet, a few spots that we could hang out, have a couple of beers and get something to eat. But we were so surrounded, anything we needed, we would get it. Like it was so well organized. And with the volunteers around us and around the team, gosh, you walk around to the mall, Fredericton Mall, people wishing good luck, people asking what's going on, and so forth. And don't forget, you have Moncton up the road. You got the St. John's, not to go too far off the map. And Halifax, you had the Citadel at that time.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it there. At the end of your mentality, what was fun is you create, like you said, the bonding with the fans, right? You become friends. They need something. You have a fan club. Small town would help us till you make the team. Like, my billet, I had a little 2-bedroom little duplex, and they were wishing me luck. They knew who I was and says, I'm not staying here long, and my lease should be just 6 months because I got to make NHL. Well, They wish me that, right? They're going, well, what can we do to help you to get up there so we can watch you on TV? And that's how I really enjoy about Fredericton. I still go there, right? I do some. My son plays some baseball and to the tournament there a few times,
Nice.
and do some hockey events out east, and love it there. I loved it.
Yeah, and prior to the Quebec Major Junior League coming into Eastern Canada, that's what it was. This was an American. They had an Atlantic Canadian division in the American Hockey League.
Correct.
My guest next week, so a week from tonight, same time, played against you with the Citadels.
And who's that?
Kevin Kaminsky.
Oh, Kevin.
Killer.
Crazy Kaminsky. Crazy.
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
we're gonna have a good time next week. It'll be good to talk to him. And but yeah, so the East Coast, we loved our American hockey league. I grew up watching the Nova Scotia Voyageurs, right? So Guy Carbonneau and a lot of them, because Montreal did it the right way back then. That's why they were so good and they sustained, is they put these budding superstars in the minors and let them develop, let them learn how to be men and pros. And so we got John Brophy was the coach here. We had some real good. John Brophy was the coach here, and Jacques Demare was the coach in Fredericton.
Correct.
And at that time, my dad had hockey schools. I kind of followed in the footsteps. And both Jacques and John Brophy worked for our kind of family business in the summer.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. So anyway, so you win the cup, obviously, best thing ever. How did you end up in Philly?
So make the team. My late Pat Burns was our coach, and at the end of the day, get called up around Christmas time in 91, 92, rookie year. There was many injuries. At that time, the NHL weren't allowed. You were allowed to have many players. So I think it was 27, 28 guys in Montreal. Injuries occur. And for a nice East Coast guy, and God rest my soul if I say his name, Spud McPhee, got injured, hurt his knee, and I got to be called up. I'm scoring a few goals. 1 week into the calling up, on 3 games, I got a bunch of goals playing with Mike Keane, Shane Corson. And this is a story, once again, you hear after the fact, right? Serge Savard and Pat Byrne goes, well, we can't let him go. He's scoring. So it's Serge Savard, thanks to Serge, decide to say, we're going to keep this kid. He's scoring. So I scored 21 goals in 39 games, 34 points my first year. I ended up staying. It cost Mike McPhee's job, or getting traded to Dallas at that point, or whatever he went. But I was not my, you know what I'm saying? How you see the politics a little bit, on the frustration on players of like taking a spot, you get an opportunity and you take it, right? Yeah. So playing the following second year, another 20-goal season. Imagine if I played this year, I'd be making $4 or $5 million contract a year, 20 years. Then we win the cup. Fantastic run. Because I'm speeding up a little bit. Like Carbonneau leading the team as our captain, Kirk Muller, Brian Bellows, Dan Foose. On defense, we had Schneider, Brisebois coming in at the same time as me, Paul DiPietro, Ed Ronan. Don't forget these young guys all came from through the minors for Fredericton, right? You got Brisebois, Ronan, DiPietro, myself came out of Fredericton and got called up, right, and made the team. Win the cup, fantastic year, good time, 10 overtime win, blah, 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 blah. And then there was a lockout that happened. The lockout happened in 95, 96. The pressure was on Serge Jacques Demers so much that he promised a lot of things in the past, and things didn't come, right? So it was frustration from players, including myself. We all end up getting traded. The call was that Jacques says, I think your time here is enough, right? I said, okay, where do I go? I said, you'll go somewhere, you're going to love it, you're going to be center with a great guy, I'm not telling you where. So I get traded to Philadelphia. It was time for me to go from Montreal to Philadelphia. Me, Desjardins, John Leclerc for Mark Recchi, and Mark Lamb, I believe, at that time. Cut a jet, private jet, traded in, shake hands with the Flyers boys, and good luck. You live it in Philly. Good luck. You live in Montreal. And the rest was history, right? Signed a 2-year contract in Philly. Bobby Clark had an opportunity to sign me. The late Ed Schneider gave me a 2-year deal. Unfortunately, couldn't score any goals, was struggling, and they get an opportunity to step back into it. Terry Murray was the coach at that time and had other vision. They bought me out and never stepped back into the NHL again. So I ended up going to minors. And finished my career in the minors. Yeah, that's how quick it could happen, right? As you think you win a Stanley Cup and you're going to win 10 more and play 1,000 games, it just doesn't work that way. There's politics involved. There's things that change in a hurry. And the rest is history, but they will never take away the Stanley Cup that I won. My name will always be engraved on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, and there's a lot of guys that, you know, people will say, oh, he mustn't have been a very good player. He only played 5 games in the NHL. And I go, he was a very good player. He played 5 games in the NHL. He played 1 shift in the NHL. To me, you got my respect. You did something right to make it there.
Because I became a tutor in the NHL, especially in Cincinnati. I played 5 years there. They gave me a Gilbert Dionne day. They gave me the key to the city. But I knew I had to groom those young guys to say, this is what it's going to take for you in the NHL. I knew at 27 years old, I had no other opportunity to go back up. So I took responsibility to go play in the minors and help these young kids. And like you said, I was sad. I'm in the bus. I should be playing. The guys, Gilbert, we're first-year contract with bonuses everywhere. We haven't had 1 chance. Not even 1 game. Not an exhibition game. It brought me back, right? It brought me back. So anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's Cincinnati in the eye, and you know, you ended up you went to Germany, which is interesting to me. How did you like
So like I said, Cincinnati folded, the IHL folded. My ex-wife at that time, 3 kids. I said, where are we going next? And I said, I think there's an opportunity we can go make a couple of bucks in Europe, and there's an opportunity that I could probably go play 1 year or 2, and then I'll call it quits. And that's what happened. I got the opportunity to go play in Europe. At that time, we were allowed 13 imports. It was awesome. We're all Canadian players that I play against in the minors or in the NHL. So it was a fun time. But time was due. It was good hockey. That was the time to start learning the European Olympic-sized rink, and some were small, some were outdoor rinks. so much fun. But I knew I'd turned 34 at that time. I had enough. Coming clean from injuries, I have injuries, but not as bad. And the concussions, well, it's day to day. Who knows, right? Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get a headache or not. But wasn't as supervised as it is today. But it was all around a good career. Good career. I really enjoyed it.
No, absolutely a good career. So, a couple other things that before we, and then of course, you played for the Senior Hornets in Cambridge too.
Yeah, it was awesome. Came back home and decided to take a year off and built. Worked. I had to get up and work. Right, got young kids. You sit around for a whole year, and at young age, and no one's retired. Right, you're just going like, what am I going to do with my life? Cambridge approached me, and Steve Rice says, come and play in Cambridge. And I'm like, I don't know. I got to work the next day, shift work and blah, blah, blah. It was fun. I put up some good numbers. Me, Stephen Rice, the late Peter Zezel was on the team. Torch, my ex-brother-in-law, was on the team. And it was so much fun. But the uncertainty of how aggressive it could take, right? Someone can come around the ice and take your head off because you're scoring too many goals. I at that time I'm like, I don't need this. I came out of the minors in the league clean. I said, I gotta go.
So we talked about a couple of them, Pat Waugh and Mark Recchi. You played with some guys. You played with a lot of guys that ended up in a coaching or a management position. I mean, dozens of guys that Jim Montgomery, Craig McTavish, Kirk Muller, of course, Guy Carbonneau, right? Who I still maintain, and I watched him in the American Hockey League, and then obviously his whole career. Best two-way forward in the history of the game, Guy Carbonneau, in my opinion. That's the players that I've seen, and I love Patrice Bergeron. I'm a big fan, and I love Bob Gainey in the same role. But Carbo, hey, would you agree with that?
I think what happened with coaching is, first of all, you got to be surrounded with experience a little bit. I wish I could have done it, but at that time I had 3 young kids. I'm at 5 now. I got 5 kids, 3 grandkids. So at that time, I owed to my ex-wife of 30 years. She said, do we need to travel again? Do we need to go somewhere and coach? And who knows where you're going to go 6 months and get fired. So I'm sick of trying. I've done it enough, 11 times of my life with you, and I owe it to her. So I stepped out of hockey. And once you step out, it's too late unless you keep watching, you're hungry for it. And it wasn't for me. Maybe upper management. I'd like to stick to be around and actually maybe talk to the young kids, like just be some sort of supervisor of the team and let them know opportunity, where it's going, where you need to be at. The experience I have now in life outside of hockey and in hockey that I experienced, I'm pretty sure I could sell that to some young guns and understanding what's to expect and so forth. But coaching is hard. It's hard. And my good friend Denis Savard said when he was in Chicago, and I said, man, you notice that 5 games they fire, goes Gilbert goes, in that business, you get hired to get fired. I go, okay. And he went back to the organization, right? He's a Hall of Fame, and he's at Chicago's organization. And Carbonneau's still in Montreal. He got fired. Did they treat him well? Maybe not. But he knew Montreal is his heart. He's a Hall of Fame. He belongs in Montreal, and he's sticking around with Montreal. And it is what it is, right? It's a big family. The NHL is a big family, right?
Absolutely. And then, so going through your teams, the amount of tough guys, the Roberges, guys that people don't know were as tough. Jerry Fleming.
Yeah, the big Jerry. What a machine. And we had the late Todd Ewan. This is me at 21 years old, running around and, pushing people around and body checking, and you're on the high, right? Lots of coffee and caffeine and blah, blah. And this is the boys on the bench says, I got to go cover your ass. Slow down because I got to fight, so-and-so on the other side. You got the Bob Probert, the Dave Brown, and the minors, you get even more tough guys because they show up. The East Division, Halifax and Cape Breton, all the tough guys were there. And I had to have protection on the bench to protect us guys, goal scorers to go win goals, right? Kudos to all of them.
Halifax at that time would have had Darren Kimball, right? Bird Dog Smith.
Yeah, Smitty. The late Smitty. Yeah.
Yeah. Darren Kaminsky.
Yeah. Cape Breton was unreal.
You remember Joel Baergian?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was here, and then Jacques Mayot.
Yeah, Jacques Mayot was there, and then you had Kay Brent's got a bunch of tough guys at that time.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go face them because we faced them 10 times a year.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It was great. So, just to wrap it up, TikTok, I love it. You're a little bit of a TikTok star here, and for all my viewers and listeners out there, what's your TikTok handle? And trust me, follow this guy on TikTok. You will not be disappointed.
I've slowed down a little bit. Sometimes you run out of ideas, or you just gotta try to be professional now. But I used to start crushing a beer. I had today. I think this month is Mental Health Month, and I went through a little bit of a hard time through my divorce the last couple of years. You think in life you lose everything, and I have some good surrounding around, good friends that say you actually probably gained, Bart. Like life is not over, and TikTok really brought me in perspective during COVID time. People are stuck at home, and I thought I need some distraction, I need some fun, and they started this TikTok dance, and why not, right? I created this nothing but sunshine in my life. That there is way worse out there than yourself. So I always go home, go to bed, and say, I feel bad today. I didn't do this, do that. Someone lose a child, someone lose a siblings. There's something way worse out there than yourself. And I brought this into myself. I coached myself to stay focused and be happy. And right now, today's life, I fundraise a lot of money through Hockey Helps the Homeless, Hard Stroke Foundation, many more events. And I'm for hired. That's what I do. Raise money for local charities and golf tournaments, hockey games. And that's what it's all about. Nothing but sunshine in my life right now.
100%. And that's real inspiring, Bert. And that's a great way to wrap it up. And, anybody, I'd follow him on TikTok, and it's a lot of fun. It's been my pleasure to have you here. It's been amazing going through your journey and chatting with Jack, and we're real thrilled. So thanks.
It's great, Johnny. And then, by the way, to all the listeners, check me out. Follow me on Instagram, Gilbert.Dionne.94. And if anything, you guys need anything out east to fundraise, I have great sport packages that we can do and create something out there. And you come to a Toronto game, to a Montreal game, whatever. It's been so much fun, and it's booming. It's limited, so hopefully we can keep going here and move on. So thank you to you and Jack, and to everyone out east. Love you guys. I love it there. I'm always invited there, and it's so much fun. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Yeah, no, thank you, and that's great. Check out our sponsors on oldcitysports.com, and we'll see you next week with Kevin Killer Kaminsky.
Cheers.